Okay. So, wow, tell us about yourself. Are you a Howard alum? I noticed you think,
Absolutely.
okie dokie now.
Here we
So,
go.
yeah, so tell us about this character, Anna Mae's, whom we know as Tina Turner's mother. I didn't know that story and
Yes,
at all. And you're a survivor. Your character is a survivor of domestic violence, which explains how Anna Mae, Tina Turner, could put up with that because it was a part of her early training.
absolutely. I mean, it either teaches you what to do or what not to do. That's what I say. I grew up in the same kind of environment and I refuse to take that kind of treatment. If you slightly raise your voice, we got a problem because I
Hmm.
know how to communicate. But in 1939, when Anna Mae Bullock was born, and then by the time she was 10, 11, 1949, women, especially African American women, were not allowed to be soft and feminine and loving to their children. We had to put the fear of God in them for their survival. And Zelma had to put the fear of God in her children. She had three girls. One died as a teenager and in a car accident. And so she just had Aline and Anna Mae left. Anna Mae was a surprise baby. She was not expecting that. And she was going into her late 30s when she had Anna Mae. And
Hmm.
if we know anything about this society and what it does to women when they're aging, and your life is over once you have children, especially back then. And Zelma wanted out of that lifestyle. She didn't want to pick cotton anymore. She didn't want to be somebody's footstool anymore. And Anna Mae was a child that was not very responsive to sit down, be quiet, behave. Anna Mae wanted to jump, dance, sing, run as often as she could do it. And Zelma just didn't understand why this child would not mind. So she made the decision to take the child that she could control and leave that situation. And she left Anna Mae with her mother, who gave Anna Mae everything that she needed for the foundation of what we know now as Tina Turner. She gave her the confidence in her singing voice. She gave her the confidence to seek spiritual guidance when things get rough in life. She gave her the confidence to embrace her sexuality as a woman, but to not get caught up running around looking for love in the wrong places. I'm quoting lines from the play, but it's a rich, 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 rich story. And all of these women are very layered. All of the characters, even the Ikettes, everybody's layered in this musical. And it's not just surface, but Zelma represents a kind of woman that we try to run away from. We try to run away from the woman that would make a decision like that and stand in it and didn't end up on the street and didn't end up just abandoning. No, she went for a better life. And she
Hmm.
didn't know how to love softly. She didn't know how to gentle parent. She didn't know any of that stuff. All she knew was, you listen to me, what I say to you, because we're trying to survive. And as times changed and as Tina got more famous and more popular, Zelma began to soak up that success. And it became this toxic thing of her only appreciating the success and not understanding the person. She never got to know her daughter. She never got to know Tina's heart and who her mother helped her raise. And so it's a complicated character. And I instead of struggling with it, I decided to just embrace it head on and just get into all the layers, make her funny, make her, sometimes endearing, make her you want to just strangle her sometimes with the things that she says. How can you say that to your child? I wanted everybody to feel all of the emotions that come with being this kind of woman. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for me.
Yeah, yeah, and just like the way that Katori Hall wrote this, and the way that it's directed, and the scenes. I mean, it's just like the way it comes. All the characters come in. It's almost like a spiritual setup. Like
Yes.
it's framed like in the beginning. With Tina Turner. When she is in that particular part of her career, because that's how we see her initially, and she's chanting. She's
Yes.
centering herself, and so we see. So there's like we don't know where we're going, because I didn't know where I was going. I mean, I knew that she had been abused in the Ike um, relationship, but
Yes.
I didn't know any of the childhood stuff. And so I'm just like shocked. I'm like, what? And yeah, and what happens with the mom? I'm like, I mean, it's like bam, like
Yeah.
like we get hit with a rocket in the beginning, and
Yes.
we gotta
Yes.
hold on for the whole show to get to the end. Because after when you're committed, you're committed.
Sure.
Okay, what's
Sure.
gonna happen?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it is literally a mirror of life, and how, some of the things that we go through, we don't realize until later on what they did to actually help us. And even though it was painful, when you get to the end, you see what the payoff is, and that Tina Turner had the insight to hold on, and then to choose to leave at the time when she knew that she had no other choice. And it propelled her to this. I mean, I just am in awe of someone who is able to endure what she endured, for as long as she did. 16 years of this man abusing her before she made the decision to just walk out the door. And so it's a very, like I said, it's a very layered story, and every night there's something new to discover about what makes her such an icon. And some of it is definitely the talent, because that's undeniable, but a lot of it is her spirit and just the person that she was. It's remarkable that in a family of people, like I said, there was three girls. One did not make it into adulthood all the way, but to see that this one gets all of this power and this strength and is able to bring it to millions of people all over the world, that is
Mhm.
incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And in your role, because you're her mother, your character is her mother. And we need our mothers. Girls need their mothers. And even though grandmama, was wonderful, she was still abandoned. And for her to be able to like hold on to that love, like that closing scene is so lovely. You
Yeah,
know,
it's a hard scene. It's because I just went through it with my mom. And so
mm,
to have to be the mom in that situation, and you let go of so many things, let go of the hope that, she's gonna see things my way, let go of the hope that I'm gonna one day not be so stubborn and see things her way. Just to let go. That scene is just what that's about. And she has so much left. Those final last mean things that she spews at her, she's not saying it to be mean. This is a desperation for her to hold on to what she knew as the best life that she had. When
mm,
Ike and Tina were together, Zelma was set up. She had a house, she had money, she could go anywhere and show pictures. This is my daughter, this is my son-in-law, these are my grandchildren. It's what grandparents do. It's what my mom did when I had kids. It becomes about, now it's Roz White, my daughter's on the road, she's doing this, she's doing that, as opposed to us getting to know each other. And when you have that kind of complicated relationship with your mother, when they begin to get ill and you can't say the things you want to say because they're ill, um, it's a hard thing. And so in this situation, Tina does get to say some things. You never gave me any credit. Why didn't you ever love me? And it's really mostly questions,
yeah.
as opposed to just, hurling insults or anything. And, her mother has to tell her, I do love you. I just didn't know how. I
Yeah.
just did with all that was, you were like a ball of fire. How do you love a ball of fire? You can't touch it. It's going to burn you up. You can't
Mm-hmm.
put it out.
Mm-hmm.
So what you go, how do I love you? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just very complicated. So I really enjoyed getting deep into that, and it helps me heal with my mom's passing, and it helps me heal with our relationship as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blessing. It really is a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, my condolences on your personal loss of your mom.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, yeah. And it's so interesting, sort of like how we rehearse our lives, right? Like you step into this role and and you can tell us why you wanted to play this particular character. And then it's really like, oh, I'm supposed to be in this character because I need to work something out in my own self. Yeah, and what if you could talk about, your acting career, and are you from DC because you went to Howard?
HU, yes. I am a DC native. I grew up in Southeast Washington, DC, the Good Hope Road, Alabama Avenue area is where I grew up. And so just to give you a kind of an idea of that. It was the 1980s, and so crack was at a high, and so was AIDS. And so
Mm,
I fought through a lot of that negativity to embrace the arts. The arts came into my life at a very, very young age, and I started performing professionally by around the age of 12.
mm,
And so all through DC, I toured around with the DC Youth Ensemble, and then I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts,
mm,
and I trained under Mike Malone and Dorothy Dash and Linda Gravatt. And then I went to Howard University after I had spent a year on the road in Dreamgirls. So I took it, my gap year was a national tour. So I have a very charmed career. My college life, I was Miss Howard, Miss Collegiate African American, uh,
oh,
starred in every production. It was a very, very, very charmed college experience, and I left with no debt. and and
oh, that's awesome.
that didn't last, but I mean, it was an accomplishment at the time to leave undergrad with no debt. So I was able to go back on the road and do Dreamgirls again, this time in the role of Effie,
Oh,
and tour the country. Some of these venues, there are dressers in the venues that still remember me from 27 years ago when I did Dreamgirls and played Effie. Someone just in San Diego said, "You were here," and I was like, "Oh my." So yeah, it's a blessing to be able to go back to where I've been and still be appreciated, and to still have the professionalism and the artistry still flowing. And
mhm,
right here now, we're in San Francisco. We got Soul Train around the corner. We got Aladdin around the corner. We're supporting each other. It's just a wonderful time to be working in theater. And I my love and my support goes out to my SAG and AFTRA, union members who are fighting right now for just the right to be able to take care of themselves. Somebody asked
mhm,
me the other day, they were like, "Are you saving a lot of money?" I was like, "I am paying my bills on time." And
mhm.
that is an accomplishment.
Yes, yes.
We just went through a whole pandemic. So to be thinking that somebody has a huge nest egg somewhere is not realistic. We are out here trying to tell this story in an environment that really needs it right now. We need a story that's triumphant. We need somebody that fought through great adversity to give us inspiration and hope that we can do it too. And so that's
Mhm.
why I love this Tina Turner musical, and that's why I love this tour when it came about, and that I'm going to be hanging around for another year to see some more of the wonderful United States, and just really just really trying to be an example to my students. I'm an educator as well.
Oh,
That there's no time limit on your dreams. There's no time
mhm,
limit on them. I
mhm,
started out as a kid. I kept performing all the way through. I taught and performed at the same time, so my kids got to see me perform all the time locally, and now they're seeing me perform nationally. It's a
mhm,
huge deal for the kids that I taught at Ellington to look and say, okay, yes, I can do it. Yes, I
mhm,
can. So
mhm,
yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's just, the arts, having a creative vehicle to be able to express yourself can really save a person's life. People say that, but this particular story, we see how it does save, you know, um, Tina's life. I
All
mean,
of the
how
stories. Yeah,
how
all of
how
the
could
stories.
how could you hold on? How could you be in this kind of relationship for 16 years? I mean,
My grandmother did it for 34 years.
mm,
And so I understand it in a way that I wish I didn't,
mm,
because I was the child that had to be fed, so you stay. I was the child that needed an education, so you stay, that
mhm,
kind of thing. So I get when Tina says to Rhonda, they are why I stay. Because she thinks that's the only way. Remember, she's from Nutbush. Yes,
mhm,
she was socialized well in Nutbush,
mhm,
but we're talking about Brownsville, Tennessee. We're not talking about St. Louis, Missouri. We're not talking about the country. So she did not know a lot about life and
mhm,
relationships. Ike was her second relationship.
Yeah.
She had her first child by another band member who quickly left when Ike threatened him. Didn't even look back. Raymond ran from the situation. So Craig, who knows what that child endured. And that son, her son, Craig, ended up taking his life later in life. So we don't know what the residual damage. Tina was still able to endure. Tina was still able to survive. Her children, though, suffered. And that has to hurt a mother. So we can look at this story later when someone else may tell it from the eyes of Ronnie and Craig, and it may look completely different from what they went through as what we know as Tina Turner, the icon. It's just a complicated thing to be a mother. That's what I say. It's just a complicated thing.
Yeah, it is. Because I didn't even know, because I never see her children, her sons. I didn't even know, because I'm like, well, thank goodness she didn't have any children. It was like, she got these two children. I'm like, oh, when did that happen? Because, we see the Ike character, just being free with himself.
Yes.
All over the place. Like,
Oh,
and
yes.
like, no, like he's not trying to hide it. It's just
Oh,
a
no.
part of the package.
That's exactly right. And she raised his children that he had during their relationship and prior to their relationship. She raised his sons and, other children that showed up on the doorstep saying, I'm Ike's daughter or son. She helped take care of them because that's what her grandmother did for her. And I remember my great grandmother, I was literally just thinking about this in the shower this morning about my great grandmother and what a wonderful woman she was and what she exposed me to by taking me down south every summer when I was a child. She exposed me to farming and she exposed me to community and just a way of living that wasn't like the city that I grew up in Southeast DC. And Tina got to have that same kind of experience growing up in Nutbush, but then coming to St. Louis. She got to learn both. So she quickly became savvy, even though she didn't start out knowing a lot. She quickly became savvy, but the part that wasn't fully developed was her heart. She didn't know how to leave this man who begged her not to leave.
Yes.
He begged her not to leave, and she promised she would never leave him.
Right.
So she didn't know how to do that because somebody had done that to her so many times. Her mother walked out. Her father walked out. Then her grandmother passed away. Then Raymond walked out. She couldn't leave. Why would she leave? And so I just feel like, I understand how it is to be trapped in a situation and not know that you have the freedom. And then Buddhism came into her life and she was able to expand in a way that helped, I believe, the world to see this African-American woman from meager beginnings come to this kind of status and have spirituality at the forefront of why she is so, not I took the right drugs or I got plastic surgery or, those kinds of things that we think, the superficial things that artists say, well, you got to get this done. You got to get that done. You got to sell your soul, so to speak. She never did that. She stayed true to who she was. She was a kind and gentle soul to her last days, even suffering in her last 10 years of life. She endured a lot of physical pain. And I can't help but think that it's the trauma that she sustained from being beaten all of those years finally manifested in her body. It's just incredible that while she was singing and dancing, she was able to maintain a high standard of health. But as soon as she stopped performing, her body said, okay, now we can get sick. And that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. You think about, body memory and your body's intelligence. And even in the show, we're watching how she's beaten and then she has to perform. She just had a baby and she has to perform. Like the baby
Correct.
is over here, being held. She takes care of
Yes.
the baby and then she's got to be on.
Yes. Not to mention the mental and emotional abuse
Of course.
that then you're trying to sing a song that is uplifting someone, or you're trying to do dance moves and be happy on stage when you feel like the world has crumbled behind you. You just saw someone literally betray you right in your face, and then you have to go on stage. And I have to admit, it happens to us. I've talked to some of the greatest performers. I've worked with some of the greatest artists out there, and it happens to us. We have to deal with great pain and then go right on that stage. And it's we have to do it. We have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sort of like, how do you like, I mean, I guess it's a skill to be able to like, well, a lot of us do that, trauma survivors, bracket it. And so you're like, you kind of leave your body and look at your body and then rejoin your body, you know,
Correct.
when you feel safe. Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the beautiful music, and how it
Yes.
complements the story. I mean, I just love your voice. I
You
mean,
know what? I can't be more blessed right now. I sing half of a song in this show, but people say this to me all the time. And I am a singer. I sing and I've sung my whole life, but this role doesn't require me to sing as much, but people still hear. And it's so interesting. I was watching another interview of a friend of mine, and she was just like, people will go look for the truth when they're going to see theater. When whoever's telling the truth on stage, that's who they're going to look to. That's who they're going to look for. And so that's what I try to do when I'm on stage. The music of this piece is so beautiful. This is the best use of pop, rock, whatever you want to call it, infused into musical theater that I have seen. And I've been in this business 40 years. They have really made this musical theater by using the songs as the story. And some of these Tina Turner songs I wasn't very familiar with. Don't Turn Around, Be Tender. Those are not songs that I'm very familiar with. I know them now, but I knew lots of the music from What's Love Got to Do with It, the movie.
mm,
So when I learned that I was singing It's Gonna Work Out Fine, I was so excited because that's a part of Tina's voice that I really love. That's not the high, pounding part. She gets to kind of be sinewy. I can, that kind of thing. So when I got to sing those melodies, I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to use a good part of my voice. It's just, we all get to be Tina. That's how I feel. Like everybody in the show gets to be Tina through the songs that they sing. So if
mhm,
you have a singing part in the show, you get to be Tina when you're singing your part, just
mhm,
a different part of her life. So that's how I feel about the music. And Shuttlesworth is a brilliant conductor and has that band swinging every night. Taurus Lovely on the drums, JT on the bass, Ralph on the guitar, Tish on the keyboard, killing it. And then we get local musicians everywhere we go for percussion and the horn section and a second guitar. So I get to meet new musicians that are going to play this music like you would not. I mean, it sounds like an orchestra and it feels like a score. It doesn't feel like, okay, these are Tina Turner songs and then we're going to do some dances and then no, it feels like it is seamless. Some of the cast from the Broadway production were in the house last night, and they had beautiful things to say about our production and what we've done with it, because we don't have the set they had. We don't have all of the bells and whistles that they had. So it's actor driven. So they were like, we love, it's very nuanced. I mean, they just had such beautiful things to say. And the music is what it is. It is Tina's different stages of life. We get to play out a 50-year career in 2 hours and 45 minutes. It is
mhm,
no small task. And this music is the driving force of it. From the time you hear that downbeat at the beginning before she starts chanting to when you hear that last hit from the drums when we go off and Proud Mary. It's just the best. It's the best score ever.
mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. And when I know some of the local musicians, Howard Wiley, I've known him since
Yes, I
he
met
was in,
Howard.
and I've known Howard since he was in middle school. He and my
Okay.
daughter went to school together, and oh, he's a grown person, married,
So
and
beautiful.
like he is amazing. And then some of the other folks, I'm like, oh, I think I know so and so. I have to know them because they're here.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it
It's
was.
beautiful to see it. Beautiful to see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And one more, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your character's relationship with or your as an actor, the
Mhm.
ensemble. I mean,
Yes.
with the Tinas and the little anime who is like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, oh my goodness, oh my
So
goodness.
precious. So
And
precious.
the boys, who are
Yes.
grown
Yes.
people, but
Yes. Yes.
the characters are not grown people.
Right.
And then
Right.
yeah, and then your character's relationship with your son-in-law, which I
Yes.
was really surprised. Like, okay, all right. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody, but
Yeah.
okay.
It's so inappropriate. It's like I said, it's the actual mirror of life.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with both Tinas immediately. I had known Zurin before
Mm.
because she's a Howard grad as well. There are 3 in the show. All of us are members of Diva Incorporated, which is the Society for Women in the Arts, started
Cool.
40 years ago by Harriet D. Foy and 5 other women. Harriet D. Foy plays Patrice on P-Valley. And so we're very proud of our sisters. We're very proud of our sisterhood. Winnie Raquel Robinson is a diva. So we are very proud of our legacy. And to have 3 of us in the show, Nicole Powell is the other diva in the show. So the relationship with the ensemble is very, very blessed. And Nesby, who'll be back with us soon. Carla Stewart is playing Gigi right now, and we love her so much. We're all in love with her. It's just a blessed cast. It's just a very blessed experience. I don't know what I'm doing on this phone, but this is a very blessed experience, and we are able to bring some beautifully talented people together. I fell in love with the 2 Tinas, Naomi Rogers, phenomenal talent. Roderick and I did 7 guitars together in DC before we got Tina. And we had another Ike before Roderick, Garrett Turner, who is like a brother to me. And he and his wife have a new baby, so he moved on to be a dad. And then Roderick stepped into the role, so we get to have some of our chemistry that we had before playing Floyd and Louise. And then the ensemble, yes, Ronnie and Craig and all of the ensemble members are like my kids, because some of them are my children's age. You know, I'm one of the elders in the cast, and so some of these kids are the same age as my kids, and some of them are the same age as my younger sister. So I have that, you know, relationship with them that is very fun and loving, and sometimes like an auntie, a surrogate mom, sometimes big sis. And then it's just fun backstage, and then it's just fun on stage. And then, you know, we have our ups and downs because we're people and we're human. And so we love each other through that. We've had people that have lost family members since we've been out here. We've had people that have gone through, you know, some things since we've been out here on the road. Health challenges happen, injuries, and we all have to band together, and COVID, and, you know, be there for each other and pull together and go out on that stage and tell this story every night. You never know what has happened backstage once we step out on that stage and tell that story. It just, you know, we have to do it. And I'm very proud of this cast. I'm very proud of this ensemble. There's nothing like that sound that that crowd makes at the end of the show. It's a release of such joy and energy that they have thoroughly been entertained and uplifted, and they believe that this person changed lives. I certainly changed all the people's lives that you just watched perform. So, you know, definitely that's a testament. The ensemble relationship, we hang out all the time. I'm the auntie that, you know, I point out everything. And so we are at a gathering the other night, and it was right after we had just finished a whole run. And so we normally would think people would want to go and be alone or be, you know, to themselves, get on the phone, talk to their boo or whatever. But we were sitting there with each other, you know, and I was like, look at us. We act like we don't like each other, but look at us. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's a family, because that's what happens in families. You know, you have your spats, or you have your disagreements, or you have your differences of opinion, but you also have a common bond that is artistry, and that is the human bond. Being in San Francisco is a human, humbling experience for all of us. You know, seeing the things that we hope that we could change one day, you know, with the homelessness and things like that. We want to be a part of a positive thing for this city, for every city that we touch. And so that's how I feel about this ensemble. I feel very special and very blessed to be a part of this group of people at this time in life.
Mm-hmm. Um, did you ever get a chance to see Tina Turner in performance?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Mm.
But the person who was with me, she had, and I'm
Oh,
like, what? Yeah, and then we have a mutual friend who also, I'm like, she's there.
oh,
She's a little bit older than me, and she's from the East Coast. But yeah, she saw her. I'm like, wow, that's
wow.
amazing.
Isn't that amazing? I mean,
Yes.
my grandmother saw Ike and Tina. As a matter of fact, when Tina came out with Private Dancer, I was about 14, and we had the record because my grandmother had an amazing vinyl collection, as did my mother. And um, Private Dancer was one of those albums that I started listening to because I have a deep voice. And
Mhm.
so I could hear and sing down there where Tina was singing on that song. My grandmother would make me sing the song when company would come over to play cards. And I was like, this is probably not appropriate for a 14-year-old to be singing, but I'm gonna sing it anyway because I just loved her voice. And so I just remember Tina, my grandmother saying that she remembered Ike and Tina. She wasn't all the way on board immediately with the new Tina, with the spiky hair and the short dress. Well, it always was short dresses, but this 40 something Tina, my grandmother, I think somewhere inside of her was like, need to sit down somewhere because you getting older and that's not how older women behave. But Tina started a trend of women embracing aging beautifully and aging gracefully and still being fine well into your 40s, 50s, and 60s that carried on to now my generation. So it's not an accident that I'm here with these young kids on this tour and they go, Miss Raj, you always fly. Miss Raj, we talking about Tina Turner. I got to represent for what she taught me at the young age that I didn't have to look forward to being an old maid by the time I was 45 or 55, that I could look forward to being fabulous and, and being seasoned. And so that's what I got from that experience of learning about her as a young person, and people that had seen her, they saw a survivor, just like you said, a survivor. She was able to come back in a way that put her haters quiet, this quieted right on down. She didn't have to scream,
Mhm.
cuss. She didn't have to be inappropriate, act out of character. She did her job. She was talented and she knew her business. And she did that. And now look at us. She's employed all of us because she just stuck to her guns. So I will never not love Tina Turner. Never, never.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't want to keep you, but I just have a couple more
Oh yeah,
comments and questions.
sure,
Um, I I've been sheltering in place, even though they say the pandemic's over. It's like, yeah,
sure.
right. A friend of mine and her mother, caught the virus when they were traveling recently. So it's like it's not over. And so, but when Tina Turner passed, I just, I put something out, just in gratitude for her
Yes,
example of of being externalizing her pain so that we could heal, those of us
yes,
who've experienced, domestic violence, spousal abuse, those kind of things, like,
correct.
like this does not define who you are.
Right. That's
And
right.
and you can, like, yeah, you can get through it and go beyond that. And so it's like, oh, when I got the call, I'm like, oh yes, I have to go see Tina the musical. Is like, yeah, I
Yes.
gotta come out of retirement, come out of my
Mm-hmm.
seclusion, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
that. And so I was hecka nervous being in that space with all these unmasked people.
Sure, sure,
I mean,
sure.
I had my mask on, but yeah, but I just wanted to, like, say ashe with my person to you all who were representing. And I had known that Katori Hall, who I really love as a playwright. She is phenomenal. I know her work,
Yes.
Mountaintop is like, oh my goodness gracious, and other work that she's done. Um,
Yes.
and so just the care, that she took with the writing, and then the care that you all are bringing to the production. I mean, like, you're real gentle and intentional, and um like, you don't want to mess it up. I could feel it. Like,
That's good. That is, thank you for saying that. That is beautiful because that is my goal and that is my prayer, is to be intentional and to make sure that we pray every night before the performance that the
mm,
audience will receive and that lives will be changed and that someone will be able to walk out of a situation that is abusive and someone will be able to stand strong and be able to pursue their dreams. I mean, yeah, it's a very special experience. So thank you for saying that it comes
mhm,
across.
yeah, yeah, it really does. And yeah, and so you answered my question about who is this for in your response right there. So I just want you to go out, like, you got your beautiful bracelets on. Like, do you
Ah,
wear medicine to protect you from some of that energy that's coming in while you're
ooh,
on stage? Because I know sometimes actors, like, for instance, I got my stuff here, on the computer,
Yes.
and my stuff, because
Yes.
this is real. This energy is real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Its energy is very real. You know what? I employ lots of tools. I've been very blessed. Every city that I've gone in, a dresser, one of my personal dressers, has poured into me some kind of spiritual help for protection. And I also am a nature person. And so I have to be near water as much as possible. I have to take my walks and, be with myself so that I am able to, because the first thing that I have to do when I step on stage is fight a grown man and be mean to a child. And so that is not lost on me, that I have to do that. And it's not just play. And I understand, yes, it is play, it is a play. However, this is a real person's story, and someone needs to see it in a way that resonates with them so that they can walk out of that situation. So I don't take it lightly. So yes, I am very intentional about making sure that I am centered. And yes, I do wear medicine. And yes, I do recharge. And I have a prayer life that is off the chain. I have a prayer cloth. I am very centered and focused. Yes, I have my water bowl sitting on my prayer cloth so that I can continue to keep the good energy. And this is the same thing that Tina used when she was chanting. And she was in a group that Herbie Hancock is also in, and different people from all walks of life that chant. And the powerful the power that communal prayer and communal positive thought has is overwhelming. If we could just embrace it for a second, the power of banding together in a common positive thought process, we can move mountains. I really believe that. We do it every night when we get on that stage. If we did not agree to put on those shoes, those dresses, that makeup, and those wigs, and go out there and tell that story, if we did not all agree, it couldn't happen. If we all did not agree, I'm gonna pull this at this time because that's what makes it happen. I'm gonna play this chord. If we did not all agree, we couldn't do it. So I know that powerful things can happen when we all are of a like mindset. So that's very, very important to me. Very, very important to
Mm,
me.
yeah, yeah. And I love the way it said, your ancestors are with you. It's like you don't hardly ever hear anybody talking about ancestors. And so for Anime to know that she wasn't walking alone, like even when her
Yes,
grandmother's body, went back to the earth,
that's
she
correct.
wasn't alone. And then, I think with the chanting, she started calling in
Absolutely. And
her spiritual self,
yes, it's such a beautiful part of the story to
mhm,
have those ancestors show up at certain times. If you're paying attention, when they
mhm,
show up, the when she's trying to assert herself or when she's trying to recenter after something tragic has happened, that's when they come to her rescue. But if you notice, you don't see them when she has to fight.
mhm,
You don't see him when you see them when she's fighting,
mhm,
because the teacher is all, they withdraw during that test time. So
mhm,
that's just a representation of that. The teacher's silent during the test. We don't, that they're not hovering right then. This is when she has to assert her own strength. She calls on them during the moments when she's down, not when she's up. It's just so beautiful the way that it's portrayed. And I personally take Evelyn, her older sister, as the ancestor that I represent, because in the storyline, Zelma hasn't passed yet when you see these ancestors coming out. So when
yeah,
I come out with them, I'm Evelyn. I'm her
mm,
older sister because she passed away, when Tina was in
yeah,
high school. So yeah, it's wow. Yeah, it's just such an incredible story. And
mhm,
it's not just a story, it's someone's life. And it makes
yeah,
me be more sensitive that we all have a life that we're living out, and to
yeah,
never take for granted that somebody may be going through something that could change lives, that's sitting right beside you. You don't know it.
mhm,
So
mhm,
be kind. She always taught us, Tina, that's her thing. Be kind, operate from a place of kindness, operate from a place of going within first, not the blame game, not because of you, this happened. No, how did I affect this? And that
mhm,
will, help you to free yourself. So I'm
mhm.
just honored to be a part.
Yeah, yeah. I just love that song she sings when they're in the South and the hotel is the the car or whatever they're
Yes.
riding in. and she sings, just be kind to me,
You better be good
you
to me.
know?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. But that's, but she's kind. And yeah, because you never see her being mean at all, you know, trying to rationalize the bad treatment. But yeah, yeah. So the kindness, I love that. And I truly just blessings to you, Miss Roz.
Thank you so much.
And on this journey, through the 27th at the Golden
Yes.
Gate Theater in San Francisco. You're right on the beach. You can go talk to the ancestors anytime you want because you're close
Love it.
to the water. You can
Yes.
throw it in the water and let it go away.
Absolutely. I love it. So beautiful.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much for this. This is a really great start to my day.
Oh, well, thank you for, giving me, your time, and thank you for, your work on stage with, helping us, address, like you're like giving us medicine, it's
Oh my
medicine. You think
goodness.
about the Sankofa, right? Like
Yes.
this is Sankofa for some of us, like I knew it might trigger me, but it didn't really, like it could have, because there was such care in the
Yes.
telling, such care in the way that your character came full circle, that I could have, empathy for her. I mean, I like, oh, she's abused too. She's
Hey.
traumatized too. Oh, so
Yes,
what does she
indeed.
know? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it comes through. It comes
I
through. It really
appreciate
comes
that.
through.
That is
Yeah.
so wonderful to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So keep up the good work, here and elsewhere. May the spirits continue to bless you with, your finessing, your artistry,
Thank you.
on now and forever.
Thank you very much for that blessing. I appreciate it. I receive it. And blessings to you and everything that you are endeavoring to do in your life as well.
Thank you so much. Hope we talk again at one time or another. That'd be lovely.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you take good care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.